He's played in the Breakers youth team for 2 years and trained with the Dutch Seconds soccer squad, but now he could be getting a real break. 19-year-old Shane Groen is off to play soccer in Darwin for the All Schools Championships.
And a week after that I'll be flying from there to East Timor for the Australian Invitational Schoolboy side to play internationally against East Timor and run a coaching clinic for some kids in the villages over there.
Shane says that the Timorese call soccer their main game, but their ability is unknown. However, the international exposure could see him kick off a career in the National Soccer League. Meanwhile, at the Gymnastics Centre at Glendale, the combined high school gymnastics wrapped up today. The Hunter gave a strong performance which saw the Hunter girls team finished first overall, while the boys came in second place behind Sydney North. Adam Harper, NBN News.
Newcastle Lord Mayor John Tate has assembled a group of 9 people whose task it is to find the best transport system for Newcastle.
The committee is made up of a number of people who I believe are at arm's length from any form of government.
Among those taking part, Samaritan's boss Seth Shevels, business leader Ian Pedersen, rail expert Milton Morris, retiring Trades Hall secretary Peter Barrick and Hunter Health boss Catherine McGrath. Members of the group and councillors will travel to Melbourne tomorrow to investigate the use of trams.
I understand they have trams running on a rail corridor, and we want to see how that operates, how the trams get on and off the tram line onto the train line and how that all works.
Meantime, recognition in the inner city today for a group of volunteers with the Night Care program. Church volunteers are providing sausage sandwiches and hot drinks to people in the inner city every Saturday night. It's a project praised by police.
It sort of takes the anger and aggression out of the people that are in the vicinity and acts as a calming influence over everyone.
Paul Lobb, NBN News.
We don't get a lot of recognition here in Newcastle. We don't get a huge amount of support, so it's really hard to get these bands out and about, if you like, and get them recognised.
Richard Hamblin has had enough. A few months ago, on his usual bus route from Rutherford High School, he was hit on the head by a basketball while driving down the highway at 80 kilometres an hour.
I actually lost control of the bus. I managed to pull it up and I actually took out the side of the bus shelter.
Dennis Westerman has a similar tale. The Transport Workers Union says the problem is escalating out of control and threatens the safety of everyone on board. It polled 50 drivers from the Blue Ribbon bus service, asking them to nominate the best and worst behaved school students and give examples of bad behaviour. Rutherford High School topped the list, followed by Raymond Terrace and Francis Greenway. St Peter's, Lambton High and Hunter Valley Grammar were voted the best. The union will meet with representatives from Rutherford High next Friday, but today schools in the area said they were given no warning of the survey and had never received complaints from any bus company.
We want to take a delegation of drivers to meet with key people at the schools and the parents and citizens groups to actually work out a cooperative approach.
Rutherford High School refused to comment, referring all inquiries to the Department of Education. It says all schools will meet with the union, but claims once students board the bus, ultimately the responsibility lies with the Department of Transport. Catherine Turner, NBN News. There's no telling how long it will take for the pain to subside for Tim Smith's family, but his uncle says there are many willing to try and help.
Of great comfort to the family has been the outpouring of support from family, from friends, from Tim's school friends. It's been magnificent.
The Year 11 student's life was cut tragically short after he hit a tree while snowboarding on Wednesday morning. But amongst the tears, something to smile about. Just hours after Tim died, his organs were donated to 5 critically ill patients around the country. Tim had only just recently got his driver's licence and had made a very conscious decision to be a donor.
He was a guy who wanted to give something to the world, and I suppose this is in the cruelest possible way, but in many ways it's also a very positive outcome.
The Red Cross contacted the family yesterday. All donor operations were successful.
We can only hope, and the family hopes, that those people have very long and fruitful lives and enjoy the results of Tim's gesture.
Janice Vardnell says a successful donation can help grieving families.
And to have something good come from a loss obviously gives comfort to people at the most difficult time of their lives when they're losing someone they love. And
Paul is sure Tim would approve.
Tim would think it was great. He'd be thrilled to bits. He would have got an immense amount of joy out of it.
Catherine Turner, NBN News.
The combined competition's first grand final saw a Central Coast side take on a Newcastle team, and it was the visitors who had a great start to the decider, Dave Jackman kicking the first. Dean Wall grabbed a loose clearance and Terrigal Avoca had a second goal in quick time. Brendan Bailey's effort summed up Cardiff's opening quarter, hitting the post. No such luck for Southam, who kicked home another. And while it didn't look pretty, Tom Viviano got the home side's first major. After a slow start to the game, Terrigal Avoca's Maury Goolagong got on the score sheet in trademark fashion. That seemed to spring the full forward to life. He booted home another major in good time, and Terrigal Avoca enjoyed a healthy lead. In fact, by quarter time, they were up by 39 points. Cardiff rallied, but couldn't get back within reach of the Panthers. Terrigal Avoca eventual winners 17-16 118 to 10-18 78, with Dave Hamilton voted best on ground.
Philippa and Peter Hudson have had to face some difficult hurdles in their time together. Just days before they were to be married in 1994, Philippa was involved in a car accident at Brookfield in the Hunter Valley, which left her quadriplegic. It also robbed her of any chance of having children. Her plight was today taken to Canberra with the help of her local politician.
But through a sad twist of fate, cannot be parents while the legal framework that exists in Australia continues to exist.
Now a tetraplegic, which means Philippa is paralysed from the chest down. The school teacher has the physical makeup to have a child, but her medication would make it too risky. And in the wake of the IVF debate, the 29-year-old and her husband Peter are calling on the federal government to change the legislation so it's legal in Australia.
We hope by doing this, by pushing this forward, that the laws will become clearer and that something that we always wanted to do, which was have a family, even if it's just one child, will be possible.
We've got both got the genetic makeup to have one, the pregnancy would be too risky for Philippa, based on the medication she takes and other factors, so this is really our only chance to have a child that'll be both ours.
The federal government will now have to consider a private members' bill introduced by Paterson MP Bob Horn, which calls for the formation of a standing committee to inquire into the legalisation of surrogacy. Helen Kapalos, NBN News.
Plans for a waste management centre at the former Ravensworth mine site have always been controversial, and when it came to the crunch, Singleton Council says it voted in support of the views expressed by the community. Councillors voted 6-5 against the proposal, despite the potential financial benefits for the town.
But there was also these concerns which Council wanted to put up to GEOAB to make sure and try and be certain that we knew it would be environmentally and structurally safe.
The concerns will now be presented to the Consent Authority, the Department of Urban Affairs and Planning.
We will make a submission from last night's motion and we'll put points together on those items that were raised by councillors, and we'll send it to GEOAB, to the government, for their information.
Council is now urging the state government to come to a conclusion as soon as possible.
What I do hope happens is that the government do their analysis on it, and let's have a decision as quickly as possible to allay the fears or otherwise in the community.
Brooke Webster, NBN News.
Ironing out the soreness that comes with daily training, Jackie Munro admits it's been a roller coaster ride of a year in preparation for the Olympics. First came the hamstring tear at a Grand Prix in Canberra. After taking that in her stride, it's been a mixed last few months of training and competition that's included great times but another fall. This Saturday, the former 110-metre national hurdle champion has just one race that she must win to make the team.
I try not to think about it. I mean, I've had a number of races over the last few weeks. I mean, I've trained hard, everything like that, so I'll just put all that in to go out there, just take it as just another race.
A mature approach for the 18-year-old who's merely taking it all as it comes.
At the moment, I just take everything as, like, I'm really happy with it, how everything's going, and I think of it as an opportunity rather than, like, I don't think that I've got any pressure on me at all.
On the 27th of this month, all eyes will be focused on Newcastle as the Olympic torch is run through the city's streets. And rehearsals for the celebrations which will accompany the torch are in full swing in Newcastle.
We've got pathways to work with, we've got slopes to work with, we've got 4 stages to work with, and we've got the water, so we need to coordinate all those things.
The celebrations will start in the early evening with the cauldron being lit at 7 p.m. A highlight will be 16 international choirs and 22 local choirs, which will combine at the Foreshore Amphitheatre, making the celebrations some of the biggest Newcastle has seen. Meanwhile, some primary school students are also getting ready, warming up to give their own message to the Tongan Olympic team. The group of 30 students from St Columban's Primary School in Mayfield will travel to the Olympic Village to welcome the athletes on the 12th of September. Adam Harper, NBN News.
And then we put the engine on. Even with the engine going at full power, we weren't making any headway through the water. So we'd exhausted all the other options.
There was a danger of a dust explosion, and we're pretty satisfied we stopped the fire before it actually reached the silo itself.
When 15-year-old Shan Sampi researched the role of a record producer for a school project, she didn't expect that months later she'd have registered her own company name and be signed on as an agent for an American record company.
I got talking to an author and he put me onto his public relations lady, and she thinks it's an excellent idea and signed me on as one of her clients.
Today, the young promoter was listening to her latest signing, soloist Mark Patch, who's confident in the abilities of his new promoter.
I think in the music industry, it doesn't really matter how old you are. If you've got what it takes, you've got the right material and the right attitude, you're just about home and hosed, I reckon.
Sean will bring American singer Brent Burns to the Shoal Bay Country Club this Sunday night and is keen to hear from locals looking to boost their musical profiles.
If I think they're good, we can either re-record their demo if they need it, or sign them on and then we'd promote them and make CDs and sell their CDs for them and stuff like that.
Paul Lobb, NBN News.
Curry came out firing at Maitland Sports Ground, Danny Linnane posting the first try, the Northern Blues failing to defuse a bomb and giving Leo Dinover the second. Both sides then swapped tries before the Blues rallied. Mixie Louis charged over, while a lucky bounce to Wayne Clifford gave Northern an 18-16 half-time lead. The start of the second was all Bulldogs. Linnane first sending Todd Osland on his way before scoring 2 tries of his own and giving Curry a seemingly unbeatable 30-18 advantage. The Blues, though, only saw red, Clayton Witten first blasting through, then Mixie Louis made a further mockery of Curry's defence. At 30 all, Mark Jones nailed what many thought was the match winner. But then came the moment that will haunt Northern throughout the off-season. Paul Rook stealing the ball, Leighton Campbell stealing the win. Curry now plays Cessnock in Saturday's elimination semi, while Lakes meet the Rosellas on Sunday.
These graduates have spent the last 6 months regenerating the wetlands on Ash Island in the Hunter River Delta. Walkways have been established and more than 4,000 trees planted as part of the work.
What they're doing is putting back the vegetation that used to be here, and it's great work and it gives them great skills for doing work in the future.
The Green Corps volunteers have been working towards the protection of this area, re-establishing nature corridors.
They've effectively helped us develop some facilities to make it easier for visitors to get through some of the revegetated areas, as well as learning about some of the wetland areas that we have on site.
Such work aims to secure the future of the wetlands, a goal that was set 6 years ago, with the Green Corps input a much appreciated helping hand.
It's a remnant of the literal rainforest vegetation that used to cover the whole site. And we've got an endangered rainforest vine left in those remnants, and so their work has helped sort of part of the conservation of that species.
Brooke Webster, NBN News.
Hamilton has seen a lot of its home ground of late. 2 of its semi-finals played here went into extra time thrillers.
We got there just on a little bit of determination and good work.
Despite finishing level on the ladder, minor premiers Edgeworth donned the favourites tag given its attacking potency. In fact, coach Bob Newmov has to decide whether to start hat-trick hero of the major semi-final in Wayne Bailey or recent breakers signing Daniel McBreen.
This has probably been the most difficult on a coaching point of view that for me, making decisions can be the most difficult because obviously someone's going to be left out, but I'd like to think that everyone's going to play their part.
However, one thing the Eagles don't have is grand final experience.
Edgeworth haven't made it before. They've always sort of been there and just seem to fold, but our team seem to relish sort of these situations and we seem to go from strength to strength.
It didn't seem to bother the Eagles at a get-together last night, but the wave of expectation is high.
I think grand final's a one-off day. I don't think you ever worry about what's been happening throughout the season. I think it's just turning up on the day, being prepared to battle hard, and obviously it's going to be intense.
Meanwhile, Curry heads to Cessnock for its third match in a week to play Newcastle Rugby League's elimination semi-final, which could be Steve Crow's last as a player coach.
Well, this is my last season, so whenever Curry plays his last game, hopefully I'll be on deck playing because it'll be my last game as well. So, yeah, if they keep winning, who knows how far we'll go.
Lakes United play West in the other semi-final on Sunday, while all eyes will be on who grabs third and fourth spot in the final round of the Newcastle Rugby Union's regular season. 4 teams are within 5 points on the ladder. These riders have countless titles to their credit, but for guys used to going places fast, their rise up the motorsport ranks isn't coming quick enough. Kevin Curtin is a perfect example, having just won his third straight outright Formula Extreme title. It's overseas teams chasing him.
BKM Racing in Belgium definitely want me for next year, but there's a lot of things I've got to sort out here, and I've got my contract fulfilled for the rest of the year.
Warren Watson is an emerging star of the sport after taking the #1 spot in the Formula Extreme Thunder class. While the Stafer brothers are making separate bids on overseas rides, older brother Daniel leads the Asian Road Racing Series but must juggle his work commitments with Impulse Airlines with riding.
If we can somehow manage the both to fit in, along the lines, I'll be really happy. But I think it's going to come a point in a year or two where we might have to sort of make a decision there.
While Jamie has just won the Australian Aprilia Series and should now pick up a range of test rides overseas.
It means a lot of exposure. If I can go good on the bike, well, they might pick me up and I might get a ride somewhere.
Jim Callanan, NBN News.
Shadow Environment Minister Peter Seaton today travelled to the Hunter to see for herself the area Premier Carr once promised as a national park.
A promise he made in this region to declare a national park here has been left forgotten, and I want to know why the Premier and why the local Labor member for Port Stephens hasn't pulled the Premier up on that promise and hasn't made him follow through.
Despite the mining company's argument that it supports the national park, claiming the application is nowhere near the area in question, Port Stephens councillors continue to object to the proposed mining expansion.
Councillor Baldwin's proposal involves a national park area that includes protection for some of these ancient characteristics of the sand dunes, as well as access for a range of activities.
The Department of Urban Affairs and Planning has restricted the mine's expansion to 200 hectares instead of the planned 595. Council and Government are now working together, trying to reach an agreement over the lease expansion. Adam Harper, NBN News.